I thought it was like, the top of my career in some way because I am a volunteer since 1999, so 26 years now as volunteer. And it was amazing. And it was like with several people that I admire so much. PMI Summit is now like a big event, like a wonderful event with several stuff going on. And we had this award ceremony that was very good, and then a very good party. It was fun. So it was very excited for me. And I was very, very happy with this because it is, like I said, a recognition of all effort done for several years to improve the career, to give back to the community, to bring people together, to volunteer for PMI chapters and other roles at PMI. So it was a wonderful, wonderful. Good to tell my grandkids.
Hi, welcome to Project Management Matters. This is a podcast about all things project management. From PMOs, project, program, portfolio management, we look at everything related to the field and its leaders. Today, I am super excited to welcome Margareth Carneiro. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me. First of all, I think we should start with a very well-deserved congratulations on the newly minted PMI Fellow Award. I believe that you just came back from Phoenix recently where the PMI conference happened and you were just awarded the Fellow Award. So congratulations on that and
Thank
welcome to
you.
the show.
Thank you so much. It was very exciting.
Great. I think maybe because of this excitement, let's start talking about the PMI Fellow Award, what it meant to you, what it was like. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the event, the feelings that you had, the excitement, and just share with us what that meant to you, both professionally and personally as well.
Sure, sure. Well, it was a nice, a good surprise when I was selected. It was a friend of mine that submitted my name, and he did everything. Vitor Milá from Peru, and it was a surprise. And I thought it was like, the top of my career in some way because I am a volunteer since 1999, so 26 years now as volunteer. And it was amazing. And it was like with several people that I admire so much, like Carrie Tate, like, Linda Vela, so many of them. So it was wonderful. And, PMI Summit is now like a big event, like a wonderful event with several stuff going on. And we had this award ceremony that was very good. Very, we had the awards and then a party, a very good party. It was fun, and I get together with my friends for so long, like Frank Salatis and so others and all, a lot. So it was very excited for me, and I was very, very happy with this uh, because it is, like I said, uh, a recognition of all effort done for several years to improve the career, to give back to the community, to bring people together, to volunteer for PMI chapters and other roles at PMI. So it was a wonderful, wonderful, good for my, to tell my grandkids.
Yeah, I think one of the amazing things about the PMI events, for those of us who have attended many, especially over many years, is that it feels almost like a homecoming of sorts.
Yeah.
When you go back to an event and you see your, colleagues and friends that you've met throughout the years of volunteer
Yeah.
leadership and activity. So it's a nice feeling to be around people that you genuinely admire and like. When you think about that particular event, and especially if you want to put it in the context of your career, both on the professional level and the volunteer level, is there a specific like single moment that or maybe a series of activities that you think about in your career path that stand out when you were standing at that on that stage receiving the award? What was going on in your mind when you were thinking about your career and your accomplishments and your activities?
Oh, good. Well, first of all, I was think about when I start a chapter in Brasília, the capital, Distrito Federal chapter, and it was in 99, as I told you. I asked PMI as a sponsor that I'd like to have a chapter here, and I had to prepare a business plan and explain that it will be feasible to have here a chapter. And it was, the initiation from nothing, and nobody knew about PMI that time here in Brazil, in Distrito Federal. And in Brazil, we are having the same time the first chapters were being building together. So we had one in Rio and São Paulo and Minas Gerais with Ricardo Vargas and myself here in Brasília, Mauro from Rio Grande do Sul. So we were starting Brazil. And São Paulo had an experience before, but it was not successful, and were trying again. And we had to go door by door, explaining what's PMI, what is PMBOK, what is. So it was very interesting to learn to remember all those events. And
It's almost very exciting when you're kind of introducing people in the business community to project management. It's like you have a best kept secret and you're there and you're excited about it and just
yeah,
kind of spreading the word on how great this profession is.
yes, and also, Philip, it was amazing to see the market evolving because in that time people didn't know about using a methodology or using a way of doing stuff. They just manage projects like go horse and that's it. And then you see nowadays how mature companies, government, they are using a lot of good practicing. So it's very good to see in some way you and your team, uh, back then we we plant some seeds, and that now it's a huge forest, uh, beautiful forest. So it is very, very rewarding. It's
Yeah,
something to.
absolutely. One of the things that you probably recall as well from the late 90s is that PMI was an international organization, but in terms of critical mass, it was predominantly still a North American organization. And then both you and I served on the board at different times where we saw that growth. I think it must be quite amazing for you to watch, especially the growth in Latin America, and just see how far
Yeah,
the institute has come and the profession
yeah.
across of Latin America.
Yeah, and also in that time, PMI was a small institution, like few staff people. We knew everyone. We knew Kate Weber, Brett Lee was there, and we knew small amount of people. Nowadays, PMI has 800 employees, 800 employees, and 1,800 volunteers around the world. So the institution is also very big now. And also the profession now is not just to be a project manager. Now we can work at a PMO, you can be a program manager, you can be also in agile space, you can be a scrum master, you can be, a PO. So the professional is bigger now as well. So, we face, we have the testimony of all the change that happened in those 26 years. So it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your career journey. I'd love to hear about how you got started in the profession, how you got introduced to it, and then what type of roles you've had over the
Okay.
years that kept you going in project management and excited about the profession.
Okay. Well, I am from IT sector, and my first work was as business analyst. In that time, we have the business analyst was kind of we sorry, we lead groups that will code, right? That time we call programmers. Now it's coders. And I managed the team to build a system that time. So the process was very, very interacting some way. And I asked them to do, I have to, to write down, use some languages and to ask them to do. And I say that it was my first project management because even though they didn't, uh, uh, the name was not that, but the functions that I had was to manage a group of people to deliver something, right? And after that, I joined Unisys. And the Unisys, I was a consultant and then a project manager. And so I I say that I do not choose to be in project management. Project managers choose me to be there. So I start like, and uh, and I love that because even in my university time, what I like more was not the tech part; it was the people part and process part for leveling. So I was a project manager at PMI at Unisys, sorry, at Unisys, and stayed there for 12 years. And then I built my own company that was PMA, Project Professional Management, and I helped companies to establish PMOs, to use a methodology, to create methodology, to implement software to manage projects. So I started for a long time helping companies to be more effective in manage projects and programs. And then I joined government. And it was a little different because as I live in Brasilia, that the capital of Brazil, our clients, the business here is mostly government. So big public companies, big government agencies. So I was very uh, aware of working on government, and I like that. And then I joined government, and since then I am in the government, help to implement governance models, uh, project management, and portfolio program and project management um, practice, and implementing PMO on government as well. So I never stopped. I for more than 30 years I'm working on this area. So
Did you find that the adoption of project management in government, or at least advocating for it to be easier or harder than the public sector in Brazil or Brasilia specifically, or in Latin America in general?
uh, harder to work on in public area is very difficult. And I say you why? Because the in Brazil and South America in general, when you join the government as an employee, you have to do an examination. I think it's France is up there, a very hard examination. A lot of people do, and when you pass this examination, you stay in a stable uh, employment, so you can't stay forever, mostly. So people are very resistant, and they think like, why I have to do like this, because I don't need, it will not improve my salary. I will not be, fired if I don't follow that. So you have to influence people in a very different way, because they don't need to do that. And sometimes the leadership, the sponsorship is very hard, is very strong, and help us to do that. But sometimes leadership don't understand, they don't value it that much, because they are politicals, but they are more involved in politics and not in management areas. So it's difficult. It's not that easy, and you have to have a good sponsor to implement. Well, even though all those difficult challenges, I implement some PMOs in governments, and they succeed very well, very well. So I have some good stories to share in my career about implementing these in government.
Yeah. How did you find the reception within the IT field? Because I remember when I joined the ranks of project management, those early days at least, when we started to talk about leveraging principles of project management, or even in some circles PMI itself, it was always almost kind of seen, oh, it's, isn't that for construction or engineering? And it wasn't until, probably around maybe the 2000 early 2000s, when that tipping point happened, and a lot more people in the technology sector started becoming a lot more aware that it is a field that actually is applicable for technology. I don't know if you had a similar experience in
No,
your own career.
no, interesting. I have different, the opposite. I have here the IT, or the first sector to introduce, and to introduce PMBOK, to use all the process. And then the manifesto, Agile manifesto come, and they change their mind, because to be sincere, for software development, uh, the agile approach is more suitable, more suitable. But in that time, IT was the first sector, and it was common to implement a PMO in IT before, because IT, it's common to have the initiative, like with start, middle, and finish, and they were very aware about projects. So usually we start with IT sector, implement a PMO in IT sector, and when people outside understood the power and the how it was good for them, and then we moved to corporate PMO, for example. I did this at least 3 times, so it was the opposite here. And for people from engineer in Brazil, it was harder to implement, because that they said, no, you are building forever, and we don't need any other approach to do that. So it was harder in this sector.
One of the things that I was wondering about is how it was like adopting project management principles, leveraging PMI assets like the PIMBA guide, that was in English. And I'm curious about that because, a lot of my work has been, either in the US or the Middle East, where English tends to be predominantly the main language of business, at least. Now it has changed now because, obviously the PIMBA guide is translated into many languages. But I was curious if you can shed some light a little bit about the the adoption of project management, especially given that I believe that in Brazil, Portuguese is predominantly the main language of business and government.
Yes, yes, for sure. In government, it's like mandatory. You cannot, publish anything in English in government. It's not the official language. But in Brazil, we just speak Portuguese. It's difficult to us because we don't have this kind of approximation with English language in our daily life. So just when you listen to music or you watch a movie, but people don't speak in English in Brazil. And it's different from Europe, for example, that people speak English since they are young people when they speak in regular, conversation, but Brazil no. And when it started was in '99. I remember that Ricardo Vargas translated into Portuguese, and it was authorized by PMI because we didn't have here. It was very helpful for people to use, to understand. It was no official, but people could have this approximation with this PMBOK. And my examination because I took the PMP 99 as well, and it was in English, and all the books in that time was in English, so were all in English. So it was difficult to spread, the word, to spread the word with people because we didn't have books in that time. So the first ones, books, were very useful, and Ricardo Vargas was one that published books, and it was good for him as well because it was, the pioneering author in Brazil. So
Indeed, and Ricardo and I are also very good friends, having served on the board together as well. And I remember those days very fondly, interacting with him as well. So it's great to see that that pioneering work helped expand the profession in different ways, especially to provide that access.
yeah,
I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about how you got introduced to PMI, and then what kept you involved for so many years
yeah.
at the volunteer leadership at the highest level.
Yeah, I used to work at Unisys, right? And I had a project with people from uh, Canada in that time, and I think from Europe, is someplace from Europe as well. Because at Unisys it was common to have projects with people from different, countries, etc. And it was 96 more or less. And one of them, they were using a very good methodology with process to evaluate a bid and then to say go or no go. They have all very well structured, and I was impressed. They thought, wow, you are very good. And he used a project with all phases, and I thought, no, you are very organized. And he said, no, it's not just me. Yeah, we are using a methodology here, and it's based on PMI principles. Have you heard about PMI? And I said, no, no. It was 1996, 97. And that's it. The first time I've heard, but that's it. And then I was living in Rio, and I moved to Brasilia. And a friend of mine that was in Rio, I was visiting Rio, my headquarters, and she said, "Have you heard about PMI?" And I said, think I heard something in the past. And she said, they are building a chapter here. And what is chapter? And she explained me, and she said, it's very good because they talk about projects all the time, and we need to improve it. Oh, that's amazing. And that's why I thought I should bring one chapter here to Brasilia because, Brasilia deserves one. It's the capital of Brazil. And that then I look for more details on the website, at PMI website, and then I asked to have a chapter here in Brazil, and then I'll start. And that's it. That's it. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm very glad it happened in my past because you are from PMI as well, a leader as well, a chair from the board. You have the history as well, and I think we have the similarities. All people that are engaged with PMI for so long, we have similarities. We have the passion for the institute, and we have the passion for the profession. So, and
yeah.
it changed our lives in some way. So I think it was an important thing that happened, and PMI is very connected to my life, even in person, because I have a lot of friends from PMI around the world. Good people, people that I admire, as you said, I admire, I like good people, good professionals. So it was a very good part of my life. It is a very part of my life. So I'm glad I
And
had this.
I have a funny story about coming to Brasilia because that's one trip that I was participated in, where at the time we had our biannual meetings in different parts of the world. Usually, one of them would be in the U.S. and then another one would be done internationally somewhere for the leadership meetings. And I remember a discussion that the chapter leaders were having about doing the meeting somewhere in Brazil. And I remember at the time that the Sao Paulo people were fighting with the Rio people and saying, let's do it in Rio, no, let's do it in Sao Paulo. And then somebody said, no, no, let's do it in Brasilia. And that's how we ended up bringing the PMI board to Brasilia at the time and
I remember
had
that.
our meeting there.
I
And
remember
yeah,
that. I went to because people from PMI board they asked me to suggest some people to talk. I don't know if you remember. I suggest the from Sebrae. Sebrae is like small and medium companies institution that support. I don't know the name in English, but small business
yeah,
uh, institution. And I remember that I was doing work with them, and the director was Luciana Botafogo. She was one of the speakers in that event, in that meeting. I think it was the
yeah.
same. And Louis Markin was there, right? Louis Markin.
Yes, I
Yes,
think
yes.
he may have been chair at that time, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Who? Triana?
Louis, I think, was PMI chair,
The
Louis
chair.
Merkin.
They're right.
I believe so. I think it was his
Yes.
year when he was
Yeah, I think so.
chair when he came. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, good memories.
So you're one of the very few people who has been involved heavily in project management, PMI, but also in Agile, and you played a significant role in supporting bringing over Agile Alliance. Tell us a little bit about that journey as well, because
Okay.
it's a great achievement, and I think that the ability to kind of bridge both worlds speaks to your success as a professional, but also the endurance of project management as well.
Ah, good. Thank you. Well, when I was part of the board of directors at PMI board of directors, PMI Global board of directors, from 2014 to 2019. When I left, um, I was part of the nomination committee. That's a normal path, you know. And then I joined Agile Alliance because I was using agility, and I'd like to learn more in a no agnostic way, because I Agile Alliance it was founded by the manifesto signatories and is not attached in any framework, any certification, any of that. And I was looking for to have this kind of open mind. I was then I was certified, safe certified. I was PMI DISSM certified, and I had some certification in Agile. I was using Agile as well, but I'd like to to enter in a community, international community, and I joined Agile Alliance, and I receive a message to that the they will have a selection for the board of directors, and I submit my resume, and they like, because the people that were selecting, because they were looking for outsiders in some way. And of course, so, as a PMI board of directors, and they are similar in some way. It's a non-profit organization with professionals, so they are very similar, of course. But the PMI is very bigger. It's bigger than Agile Alliance, but they are, and they are. I was accepted. I was elected to be part of the board, Agile Alliance board. Okay, so this year I finished my 30 years. I will continue more 3 years as Agile Alliance director. And of course, I brought all my experience from PMI, and I had some resistance in some way, because people, the directors said, it is PMI is different from Agile Alliance, the community is different from Agile Alliance, PMI is bigger. So I had some, difficult to introduce my ideas to, because Agile Alliance was not growing. It was like very small, and it was a shame, because agility is, people are talking about agility for long time, and a lot of people are certified. There are like more than 25 certification in agile area, and we are facing some financial problems. That's it. And when I went to, so we are looking for, what to do to change. And we talk about partnerships. So partnership should be good. And when I went to a conference in Rio de Janeiro. It was the Brazilian National Chapters Conference that we had once a year, with all chapters involved. It's very good. And Pierre was there. And I talked to him, and I said, because he didn't know me that time, because when I left the board, he was not on the board. It was so new. And people said, she was part of the board. Good, good. You should come back. It's something like that, talking, small conversation. And I said, well, I'm now in the Agile Alliance board. They said, oh, good. We are partners. We had some partnership. And I said, well, I'm think about, stronger partnership now, because we need some support. Uh, are you available to a conversation? And he said, of course. And he was wonderful, because even though he's very busy, and he took, some slots in his agenda, and we had some initial conversations, and then a partnership. So it was very good, because, I I was very happy with that for two reasons, Philip. First one, because I believe that we are part of the same market. We are part of the same professional. Uh, but people from, they thought that they are different for us. But at the end, we are professionals that deliver stuff, products, services, software, whatever. And we do this in different ways, we did this in different ways for a long time, but nowadays even the market they are converging to to choose what to do in different contexts. And even PMBOK 8 edition is like that. You don't have this kind of boundaries anymore. So you have a lot of, tools, you have a lot two approach, main approach, but you can mix in a hybrid way. And you have a lot of tools and practices that you can use depend on the case. So now you have a toolkit and you use the toolkits depends on the context. So it makes a lot of sense to put those communities together. And PMI is the good place for that because PMI is also in some way agnostic in the agile praxis. You know, even the certification in agile sector is not for one framework, it's for five frameworks. So you have to understand, to know at least five frameworks to do the examination. So it's very open, and I think it's wonderful. And we now started to work together, and I am very, very involved on that as well. We have some um, initiatives. I don't know if you know about that, Philip. One is reimagining agility that we are doing workshops with uh, communities to listen to them to how to solve some wicked problems that we have. We did that in Turkey, in Denver. We are doing in Brazil. I'm traveling. That's why it's 6 p.m. here in Brazil, people. Oh, sorry, 6 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m. And we are talking because after that, after this conversation, I'm going to São Paulo, and tomorrow we have this workshop in São Paulo, and I will talk also in a conference in São Paulo to share about this partnership and what we're doing. So reimagine agility is one thing that we are doing very to engage people from agile sector, that other communities other than PMI people, to invite them to share ideas to help to solve those wicked problems. And another one is enterprise agility. Enterprise agility is an initiative that will write enterprise manifesto, okay, agile manifesto for enterprise. So we are doing a lot of stuff together. It's wonderful.
Thank you for sharing all of this. A lot of great news for the profession in terms of expanding. One of the things that I really like about the coming together of Agile Alliance and PMI is that, as you said, we are at the end of the day one profession, and PMI can be a big umbrella that covers different ways of working. And I'm a big fan as well of the PMBOK Guide 8th edition that just was released. And in terms of really going into to the next level in terms of explaining how it's really up to you to tailor the way that you adopt and implement project management. I think that incorporating that feedback is a great thing. Your work was instrumental in doing this, so it's very wonderful to see that come to fruition, and it's exciting for the profession. As you look towards the next maybe decade or 5 years or so forth, what do you think are some of the things that we need to be paying attention to in project management as things continue to evolve?
Yeah, of course, I think that AI will change a lot. I will give an example. I was in Denver for a conference, at Agile conference from Agile Alliance conference, and we had a marathon. That usually you have a marathon, a hackathon to build a software. And usually people from the conference that are more technical, they like to do that. And they did. I'm not technical, but they did in they choose a organization, an institute, a social institute, and they talk to the people from this, and they build a software and an application using a cell phone, right? A mobile application. They did that in 3 days, and they deliver MVP working because they are using AI, right? So they are using AI to have ideas and to code, to everything. And they share this experience in a podcast that I was the host, like you are going to is being the host now. I was the host with them, and they explained what happened. It was fantastic, and they were very impressed because in 3 days they could do the whole process. If you see the frameworks, if you see the frameworks, for example, design thinking takes to understand it, to have the first prototype in paper or design. Usually you take like 5 days to do that, just to understand the possibility, what you can do. If you see the Scrum, the our sprint, the smaller sprint is 1 week, right? 1 week. And you did, several sprints and deliver the whole stuff in 3 days. So, and we are just starting, you're just starting. Yeah, yeah. It was not even uh, um, like a lovable, it was not AI specialized in code. No, it was Gemini or Claude, one of them. So it was just a LLM, natural language model. It's not big deal. But imagining what it will happen in some years, right? So I think that
Absolutely.
even now the frameworks that we are using now, the frameworks, we will have to rethink them. So a lot of the way we are working now will change a lot. Will change a lot. So I think we must be aware of those changes, and but not be attached with one framework, so even body of knowledge, because they will change. So you have to be aware that the change will be more and more and more frequently, and you have to be prepared to change easily, not to be, uh, kind of fixed mind that the way I do is the best one. The way I do, it's what works. No, it will change more and more frequently.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned the hackathon. I think a lot of colleagues I've been interacting with lately are big fans of vibe coding and how that can be leveraged for individuals who don't necessarily have a technical background
Yeah.
but want to experience coding, leveraging LLM models and so forth. So it's really fascinating to see that, and that will have kind of an impact on how we interact with each other from a project perspective. As we try and kind of bring this to a close, I always ask and invite my guests to reflect on project management, but by providing advice to people who are interested in joining the career path, whether they are young people who are coming into the profession early on in their careers, or people who are making a transition from a different career path. If you were to kind of offer them some nuggets of wisdom, what might those be, and what advice would you have for people who are interested in project management?
First of all, I would say congratulations because it's a, a wonderful career. Because you deliver things, you change the world. So when I look past what I deliver in my career, I'm very proud of that. And it's not easy, I can say you, because you have to deal with people, to manage people, to deal with stakeholders. But you have different experience during your career. You learn a lot of stuff, so it's wonderful career, wonderful. And I'd like to suggest that people um, uh, open their mind when they enter and stud and try to understand the way of working, this approach, frameworks, because it's basic. No, it's the basic that you have to have a good foundation. And that's why I like certifications, because when you get certified, you have to study, and then you accumulate good knowledge, even though the experience is better than the certification, of course. But certification prepare your, a foundation of understand how all the practices, all the tools, etc. So it's very interesting. I'd like to suggest you to study and get a certification. I like PMP. Still nowadays, PMP is very good, very well demanded, and PMP gives you a good foundation. If you are looking for agile space, I suggest you PMI ACP because it's open. Of course, you can have it also Scrum or other. That's all of them are very good for you. And if you, I suggest you also to try to get the much experience that you can. I see some YouTube people, influencer that say how to be a project manager without experience. And I don't, yeah, I saw some videos like that, and I don't think it's a good idea because you need to be experienced to 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 deal with a project. So I suggest you to get opportunities to get this experience, follow other leaders, other project management, like take part of the team and get involved with the work the managers are having, because it's not just technical stuff. You have to develop your skills. It's like communication, to deal with the stakeholders, to influence your team. So it's very important to get this experience before enter, and you can do that. Volunteer at PMI, so you can have a lot of experience. You can be a shadow of a project manager. You can ask your project leader thinks about how are the things and what are the challenges, so you can learn before try. I suggest you. So get certified, develop your skills and get experience, and you will be happy. You'll be fine.
Fantastic. Well, Margaret, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really enjoyed our discussion. And again, congratulations on the
Thank you.
Fellow Award. It's great to see you again. And for those of you who have been with us on the podcast, thank you for joining us. This is Philip Diab. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you. Bye bye.